Christians of the internet and the occasional heathen. We don't discriminate. We're fine. But I have an announcement. I have discovered after exploring the archives. Not really. Okay, first things first. If your child has reached the age of 4 and you are not filling him or her with copious amounts of Adventures in Odyssey, congratulations, you're a bad parent. But I caution you, I have discovered something that blew my mind. Mr. Whittaker, that man that we all know and love, even when his voice changes, is evil. Point of fact, he's experimenting on children, and I discovered proof of this. So, backstory, I'm collecting Adventures in Odyssey episodes for the kids, now that I'm a father, and I was listening to, what was it, episode? So in episode number 33, The Day Independence Came, it's kind of like the concept of the imagination station, but what actually happens in the story is the kid, whose name I forget, they're all interchangeable, reaches for a history book and it hits him on the head, and then he goes into this imaginary world thing where he hangs out with Nathan Hale and reads a letter from George Washington to the Continental Congress, etc. You know the story. But there's a very key point in there when he meets Benjamin Franklin and he says,
"You just look like someone from my hometown."
Really? Poor fellow.
And then the key punch then at the end of the story is that Mr. Whittaker does this thing as like the send-off of the episode where Mr. Whittaker mocks and or imitates the actual tone and phrasing of Benjamin Franklin in the kid's imagination.
Poor fellow.
And now listen to them side by side.
Poor fellow. Poor fellow.
This means that Mr. Whittaker knew what was going on inside of that kid's imagination. So, and it's very important to note that at this point in the story, the imagination station hadn't been invented yet. You see the first hints towards the imagination station in a story amplifier in episode 46, The Shepherd and the Giant. The actual imagination station, I think, comes about in number 66, called The Imagination Station, Part 1. So that means, beforehand, Mr. Whittaker is experimenting and trying to invent this new invention. He is knocking out kids and hooking them up to this machine to see if it works. How else does he know, Mr. Whittaker, exactly what's going on in that kid's head? Mr. Whittaker is an evil fiend. Anyway, I just thought you should know, as a concerned parent, that Focus on the Family is trying to serendipitously... I can't even. And that's it. No deep analysis, just to say that that's there, and that's creepy. Like and subscribe for more ridiculous and unfounded Christian commentary. I don't know if the sarcasm came through in this episode. Sarcasm note.